I'm going to tell you everything I know about trader evals and also which one I think is best for developing traders. Hey traders, this is Taylor with the Trader's Brain. And last time I did a video about trader evals, also known as combines, that a lot of traders are doing and how those can be a beneficial aid or tool for developing traders who are trying to move from a sim environment into a live environment. So go back and take a look at that video, but I think it's a really good, if you're working on mindset, if you have an edge and you're just, kind of struggling, shifting gears or really ramping up, a trader eval program or combine could be a really great way to accelerate your development as a trader. And I love these programs for that reason, for the purpose of kind of giving yourself an extra kind of level of stress or level of challenge around mindset so you can work on mindset as you work toward trading a live account. And for some of you, you may just want to stick with trading with that particular firm or prop firm. Now, the trick is which ones are the best? Like they're all a little bit different and the rules are a little bit different. So, what do the rules mean? How do you actually go about picking which program might be best for you and best for your particular edge? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare 4 of the most popular programs that are out there today. Now, it's not comprehensive. There are many more programs like this, but you're going to get an idea about what the specific rules mean, what impact they have, and then you can go and evaluate others yourself as well. I'm also going to share with you the ones that I think are the best, or at least the best for me that I found. Okay? So let's get to it. This is going to be an in-depth comparison of the top trader eval and combines. All right, guys, so I picked out 4 of the most popular programs that are out there on the market. And I selected these 4 because they're all a little bit different, and it allows me to kind of go through and talk about the different rules and how the different rules play a part between the kind of the test account and the live account and what that could potentially mean for you. I'm not looking at how well are their payouts and those kinds of things. I'm looking at just the basics of the program. And so I've selected Apex, Topstep Trader, Earn to Trade, and Elite Trader Funding. So these are the 4 that we're going to focus on, but you can take what we're learning here and what the different characteristics are and what the different categories are, and you can go and evaluate yourself any others that come up for you. Okay, before we jump into the actual comparison, let me just kind of talk about what these programs are in the first place. So you have an option of trading on a sim. So that's a paper trading account. Most platforms have this. This is just meaningless money. It's a demo account, and it doesn't mean anything at all. You also have the opportunity to trade with your own money. So that's putting your own money at risk. And when you lose, you're losing your own money. You also have the option now with these programs to trade other people's money. So these are prop firms, proprietary trading firms that are set up that run traders through a particular set of tests to see if they can adhere to their risk management rules. Really, these are just risk management plays. And so if you can reach a certain level of profit before you violate any of their risk management rules, then they will let you trade with their money, which is awesome. And so what we want to look at is what do those rules look like? Can you trade against those rules? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? What are the pros and what are the cons? And all those kinds of characteristics in these programs that are just slight nuances from one program to another. Now, what I tried to do is I tried to pick 4 programs that were both popular, but also a little bit different from each other so that we can kind of talk through the nuances of each of these different characteristics in a way that makes them a little bit different and kind of shows you, what you want to be looking for when you're looking for one of these programs. All right, so let's just talk about general features. So what are the kind of the basic general features for each of these programs? Now, I have this comparison chart. And you can very easily see, across the board and kind of compare each one. We're going to start with a number of stages. Okay, so Topstep's unique in that it has 2 stages. Everybody else has 1 stage. And what I mean by a stage is that they have an initial profit target and risk and a certain set of rules, like a risk set of risk management rules. And if you hit that, you go into the second stage or the second phase, and then you have another target that you have to hit and another set of rules. And there's a reason that Topstep does this. Part of it is to help them understand how consistent a trader is. The other programs have created rules that allow them to evaluate consistency in a different way so that they only require 1 stage. And so, if you're looking for something that's relatively fast and simple, you're going to want to look for something that's a single stage program. But Topstep's Trader, it's not necessarily worse to have 2 stages. It's just different. Either way, you're going to have limitations on any of the accounts around this consistency. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. Now, what's the minimum number of trading days to be able to pass and then get funded? With Apex, you have to trade a minimum of 7 days. Topstep, it's going to take you a minimum of 8 days to get through both stages. If you hit everything perfect, you still have to take 8 days to get through. Earn to Trade requires 15 trading days, and Elite Trader Funding only requires 5. It's the fastest of the bunch. Now, this multiple PA accounts is really interesting. What this means is that how many funded accounts are you allowed to trade? So these accounts are set up where you get to choose the amount that you want to trade. So you can trade a $50,000 account or a $100,000 account or a $200,000 account, and you pay more, right, for larger values. But it just means that you get to manage more money. You get to have different risk parameters. When you have the ability to trade multiple of these, you can sign up with Apex and Elite with up to 20 of these accounts. So you could pass the $100,000 trading combine for Apex 20 times and be trading with $2 million. And that's pretty awesome. Now, you'd have to have a trade replicator, or you'd have to have some other way to kind of manage how you're trading in all 20 of those accounts. And that could be a little bit tricky logistically, but it gives you the ability to really amplify how much you make. Topstep only allows 1 trading account. I've seen some who actually have 2. The only person I've seen with 2 is Patrick Whelan, who's a Topstep affiliate and had a second Topstep account that he's been able to trade. But normally, I don't think they allow more than 1 account. And then Earn to Trade only allows you up to 3 different accounts, or I think they recommend no more than 3. It might be possible for you to trade more. Now, there are fees associated with these, and one of the fees to recognize is called the reset fee. And we're going to talk about fees a little bit differently because there's costs to signing up for these different programs. So the reset fee is if you fail. Let's say you sign up for the $100,000 account, you violate the risk rules. How do you actually restart? Well, with all 3, with Apex, Topstep, and Elite Trader Funding, you can pay a fee and get restarted right away, or you can wait until your monthly renewal date, and it will automatically reset you if you're in a failed state. Earn to Trade is unique. You don't get a chance to reset. You just have to go back through the sign up and try again. So it's a little bit different in that you've got to, you pretty much you're done with that account, move on, try to sign up again. And they don't look at your prior failures. They only look at whether or not you succeed in the current account. So there's no reset fee. You're just signing up again and you're off and running. Okay. There's also data fees. So now Apex, Earn to Trade, and Elite don't have any data fees, but Topstep does, but only for level 2 data. Now, I think this is awesome because I don't know about you guys, but as a trader, I have to pay for my own data fees when I'm trading live in my own live account. You could actually get started. If you're a newer trader, you could get started. You could sign up for one of these evals, and for a monthly fee, right? Often a very minimal monthly fee, you've got your data fees covered. You've got your platform fees, your data fees, everything's covered for you, which is totally awesome. And I think that this is a really great way to save money long-term, especially when you're getting started. Now, ratings. Ratings are a little bit tricky, like how do you go about rating these? Trustpilot has done a really good job of collecting ratings across many of these programs. And so if you go to trustpilot.com, you can take a look and you can see Apex is very highly rated. Earn to Trade is second at with 4.7 stars, Topstep at 4.5, and Elite Trader at 4.0. You can learn a lot by going and reading what actual users have to say about these particular programs. But in net aggregate, some pretty good reviews and ratings here across these programs. Now, what we haven't talked about so far is we haven't talked about platforms. Pretty much all of these services use the same thing. They're using a rhythmic data feed, and you basically, they're pretty much all the same. They all connect to all the platforms. So it doesn't matter whether you're using Sierra Chart or NinjaTrader or Bookmap or Jigsaw Tools. There's like a gazillion platforms that are supported because you're just trying to connect into the rhythmic data feed into their servers. So you don't have to worry about any unique platform considerations or anything like that. Pretty much what you use is probably already supported by their program. So what we haven't talked about yet is what it is that you're actually buying. Well, you're buying access to funding, okay? And access to small amounts of money costs less, obviously, than access to large amounts of money. And what you're doing, you're paying a monthly fee for access to anywhere from $25K. So here's an example of Apex Trader funding, from $25K all the way up to $300,000. And then there's this other one, static account. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. But for instance, on the $25,000 account, you get to trade $25,000. You pay $147 a month to go through the program. And if you can pass using these particular parameters, then you are ready to go. And they'll give you $25,000 to trade. If you want to go for $150,000, then you're going to pay $297 a month, right? So it costs a lot more to have the opportunity to trade more money, but you're trading more money, which is totally awesome. So if you're a consistently successful trader, you've got an edge, you know what you're doing. Passing these things, could be relatively simple and straightforward for you, and then you're trading other people's money at pretty large levels, okay, for not very much cost, honestly. So that's what you're paying for. So these are kind of the general features of these particular programs, and they're pretty much the same. There's not a lot of differences here. The big difference is that Topstep has 2 stages. Everybody else has 1 stage. And then you've got the ability to trade quite a bit more money with Apex and Elite Trader funding than any of the others. All right, so let's talk about these plans and what are the rules when you're going through a particular eval program. There are 2 types of plans that you can get. One is, I'm calling a dynamic plan, just simply because the other kind of plan is called a static plan. But the dynamic plan, and those range anywhere with Apex 50 to 300K, and then Elite's got 10 to 300K, and then the others are a little bit different. You can see they're all a little bit different in the ranges that they have available for the amount of funds that you can trade. The static plans, Apex offers a $100,000 account, Elite offers 100 or 150, and Topstep and Earn to Trade do not offer a static plan. Now, the static plans are really cool because what they basically are is they have a max loss in the plan, and that's it. There's no other rules. I love the static plans because they basically are, at $100,000, you can't lose. Your balance cannot go below, I think it's $99,350 or something like that. So you can't lose more than $650 in the account below the starting balance. And that's it. You can run it up as high as you want, but you simply cannot lose anything less than that. There's no daily loss limit. There's nothing else. The rules are very simple with a static plan. The dynamic plans are the ones that have all of these other rules that you want to pay attention to. So for instance, they have a daily loss limit rule. And what that rule says is that you can't lose a certain amount every day or in a given day. So if you lose $2,000 in a day, well, you failed the the program and you're going to have to reset or wait till your renewal. Apex does not have daily loss limits on any of their plans. Topstep does, Earn to Trade does, and Elite is interesting because they have a choice where you get to choose a plan that has a daily loss limit, and then you're working on kind of a multi-stage type of program. Not exactly, but it's more similar to Topstep. Or you can not have a daily loss limit and have a plan that looks much more like what Apex offers. Now you'd think, oh, this is totally awesome. It doesn't have a daily loss limit. That's super easy. Not so fast. They get you another way. So there's always a way to get you. And that's with what's called a trailing drawdown. So while Apex doesn't have a daily loss limit, they do have a trailing drawdown. In fact, all of the plans have a trailing drawdown. And what that means is that they will look at your balance at a particular time, and we'll talk about when that time is, but they'll look at your balance and there's a certain amount below the highest balance that you have that trails, and then you can't go below that. So even though there's no daily loss limit, there is a loss limit value, and it's based on what the trailing drawdown is. Now, Apex has a trailing drawdown that is intraday based, and that means that as your balance goes up and down, whether realized or unrealized, and this is really, really important, then that drawdown goes up with it. Okay, so let's say that you're in a trade, and let's say that your balance is $100,000, and let's say that you're up $2,000 in a trade. So your balance is now $102,000. Okay, but you don't take profit, and the trade comes all the way down, and you end up making $500 on the trade. So you think that you're pretty good. You've got this trailing drawdown. The trailing drawdown is not based on that $500 that you made above your balance. The trailing drawdown is based upon the $2,000 max balance that you had intraday that was unrealized. Okay. So you have to be very careful with this one when you're in profitable trades, not to let it go far against you too much. I have actually had, I've been doing a lot of testing, and I've actually had situations where I failed the eval even though my account balance was above my starting balance. So I think I had a $150,000 account, and I think I failed it at $153,000. And you're like, why did you do, like, how did that happen? Well, I was trading with awesomely huge size, and price went up, and then it came down below my trailing drawdown intraday. So even though I was up in the trade and I won the trade, I lost the combine. So really, really important concept here to understand how it works. Topstep's a little bit different. So they have an end of day trailing drawdown. So they wait until your balance at the end of the day. If you're up, then that's used for the trailing drawdown calculation. It's also capped. And what that means is that once you are above your starting balance, so let's say that you're $100,000, once your drawdown number goes up above $100,000, then it will stop trailing after that. Okay. So let's say you have just for simplicity, if you have a $5,000 trailing drawdown, when you hit, $105,100, you will not trail anymore. So when you get up to 110,000, your drawdown is still at $100,000. Okay. So it just gets capped, which is awesome, which is really awesome. We're going to talk about this when we talk about the live portion. Earn to Trade works the same way as Topstep, where it's an end of day capped. And then Elite has, again, the option. So you can make it look more like Apex, or you can make it look more like Earn to Trade or what Topstep does. Okay, so you get to choose your plan. Now, the scaling rule basically says that you're going to be limited in terms of the number of contracts that you can trade based on where your account balance is. Apex doesn't have this scaling rule, neither does Elite. It means you can trade the max amount of contracts for that particular account rule, or that program rule. Topstep and Earn to Trade both have these scaling rules so that you have to reach certain targets before you can increase to certain levels of size. The consistency rule is another interesting one. It basically is that you can't have a single day, more than this particular percentage of your days that you've traded. And it's preventing things like, let's say that you have a $5,000 profit target. If you get that entire $5,000 in one day, you're going to fail Topstep and Earn to Trade. You have to keep trading until that $5,000 is less than 40% of all the days for Topstep, or 30% for Earn to Trade. Apex and Elite, again, don't have this consistency rule. They're really enforcing the consistency aspect through this intraday trailing drawdown feature. So they've kind of figured out that, and a good example of that is the example I gave where, I traded 17 contracts on a $150,000 account, and it gives me only 6 points room for a pullback. And so, I either have to trade with less size, with more trades, and create consistency there, or get lucky on a particular big trade that just keeps going and doesn't turn around, right? So that's why they have the trailing drawdown, is to kind of enforce some aspect of consistency. The way Topstep and Earn to Trade do it is they do it with a specific consistency rule. Okay. Now, I do want to emphasize that the trailing drawdown is very tough to work with. It is, in my personal experience, it's been a real challenge to try to navigate through, getting the right amount of contracts traded, with the consistency that you need and so forth. So I think it's a very effective way for these companies to deal with consistency without having an overt consistency rule. It's probably been my biggest hang up and kind of the things that's tripped me up the most in the Apex Trader eval, which is the one that I've been going through. So just keep that in mind. It's no joke. So let's say everything goes great. You're able to pass your combine, your test. You're ready to go. You've got this, this brand new account. Now, what is it that you're looking for once you move into live trading with these firms? Well, first of all, let's look at profit split. Both Apex and Topstep Trader offer a very generous 90-10 profit split. That means that 90% of any profits go to you, 10% go to the firm. Earn to Trade and Elite are at 80-20. Almost everybody out there, you're going to see anything between a 90-10 to an 80-20. There's some exceptions that are a little bit different. Payment frequency, how often you get paid, 2 times a month at Apex, daily at, you can get paid daily at Topstep. Earn to Trade is weekly, so is Elite. Now, you do have fees associated with these accounts, so you do have to continue to pay certain fees. So you pay $85 account with Apex, a little bit more for Topstep, but it's based on exchange as well as Earn to Trade. And then Elite is $80 based on account. Remember, with Topstep and Earn to Trade, you're not trading multiple accounts. So that's why they don't have a monthly fee by account. They have it based on the exchanges that you plan on trading, because you're now paying data fees and a bunch of other things. Now, some of these programs have something called 100% payout, which is if you make a certain amount of money, the first time that you make a certain amount of money in that account, you get to keep 100%. Apex is super generous. The first $25,000 you make, you keep. Topstep's $5,000, Earn to Trade is $0, and Elite Trader Funding is $12,500. Now, remember we talked about these kind of limits that were in place. This is where you really separate the programs that you want to work with from those that you don't. It's not based on, for me, it's not based on the test rules, right? I can figure out how to get through the test rules. I'm going to know what it's like to trade live. Okay. The daily loss limit. So this stays the same. So Apex does not have a daily loss limit. On Topstep, Earn to Trade do, and again with Elite, it depends on that account type that you had selected as you went through the eval program. So you might have one, you might not. Now the trailing drawdown is is different in some of these programs between their testing and their live accounts. And so with Apex as an example, whereas you had a trailing drawdown that went through the entire evaluation, you no longer have that in your live account. I love this about Apex. This is where I've decided, to go with one particular firm versus another. It's not based on the simulation. Again, it's based on what happens in live trading. So with Apex, you don't have this trailing drawdown after you've reached your initial balance. So again, let's say that you have a $100,000 account, $5,000 is your trailing drawdown. Once you go above $105,000, you don't trail any longer. So when you get your account, you build your account up to 150, 180, you can trade the maximum number of contracts and not worry about that $5,000 trailing behind you. That's what limits your upside potential, is when you have something that trails you or you have a daily loss limit. Those two things will always limit your upside potential in an account, because you can grow the account to be very large, but your daily loss limit or your trailing drawdown do not change. And for me, that's a problem for me, because if I want to take a $100,000 account and turn it into $300,000 accounts, I want to trade three times the size. And I want to make 3 times the amount of money. But if you're using the same daily loss limit as if it's at 100,000 or the same trailing drawdown, then you're limited to just trading that account as if it's still at $100,000. This is a very, very important part of your evaluation of which one of these programs to look at. Apex, again, doesn't have a daily loss limit, and then they stop the drawdown. Same thing with Elite. Again, they also stop the drawdown. Topstep continues with the end of day trailing drawdown, but it's capped again, and it's capped at the starting balance. So you do have that daily loss limit though. So your upside potential with Topstep's going to be a little bit smaller, right? You're going to have to continue to trade that account as if it's that particular size. And then earn to trade, which is really different and really unique. And the reason why I would never choose earn to trade is they've removed the capped option on the trailing drawdown. So in the eval, it's a lot easier to get through earn to trade because they cap their trailing drawdown. But then once you get live, then they uncap it, and that thing follows you all the time. So this is kind of for me, the one of the deciding factors for going with one versus another is, can I, as I grow the account, trade bigger size? And that's one of the main questions that you want to ask yourself when you're looking at this. So then there's this other category. So both Topstep and Elite have some unique things maybe to talk about. So for instance, with Topstep, they do have this custom scaling option, which I'm not exactly sure what this means. Maybe people from Topstep or who trade Topstep could explain this. But I got the impression that you can work with Topstep to adjust your plan in a way where, maybe if you are trading a bigger account, you can maybe adjust your daily loss limit or the amount that you can trade with them. So you can kind of come up with a custom plan. I think that's pretty cool and nicely adapts to traders who are growing their accounts. And then Elite also has some things to note that really are non-standard. One is this 40% rule, which is that your best trade day profit can't exceed 40% of your total profit. And if it does, you have to wait before you can actually request a payout. Now, this is bewildering to me. It means if you have a really huge day and that day is, the profits from that day are 40% of your total profits, you can't actually request a payout. I don't know why they put that in place. Kind of weird to me, but it's just one of those weird things. Another weird thing that Elite Trader Funding does is a sim start. So a lot of times they'll start you out in simulation. You still get paid on any profits that you earn, but they'll let you know that you're actually not trading live funds, you're trading simulation funds, or you're on sim. And I don't know whether this just allows them to double check risk management and consistency and those kinds of things before real live money goes in. But another weird thing that could be a little bit off-putting. So these are the things that you want to look for when you're looking at kind of the live features. In particular, are you limited if you're able to grow the account. And for me, that's something that I look at very, very closely with any of these programs. Okay, you've learned a lot about these different programs and how they work, what you should be looking for. One of the things that I did that I'm really grateful I did this is I took a look at my particular rules of my edge, and I looked at my metrics, my statistics, and my data, and how I had traded. And I tried to look at the programs from that perspective. I ran some scenarios. I looked at, hey, if I traded this particular edge, which program might work best for me? How would I manage it? What should I, how should I start trading it? What level of size? All those kinds of things. Now that you know what the rules are about, you can run those kinds of scenarios and figure out which one of these programs might be best for you. So which ones were best for me? Well, I excluded two programs, right off the bat. So first of all, Earn to Trade came off of my list because when you go into the live account process, they remove the capped end of day trailing feature. And I just know that if you're going to have a trailing drawdown feature on your account, on your live account, you're going to limit how much you're going to be able to make. And so I just didn't like that. I thought, and plus the limitation of only being able to trade, 3 accounts max, you're going to limit your upside potential. And then the other one was Elite Trader Funding. It was just a little bit complex. They had those kind of weird rules around the 40% rule on withdrawal. They have the, kind of interesting rule about sim trading. It just, there's a lot of options there. There's a lot of ways where you can kind of, have either a Topstep type of experience or an Apex Trader type of experience. But I'm like, there's just some interesting things there that made it a little bit less appealing. And frankly, they didn't get great reviews. So, those two came off my list really quickly. So who did I end up going with? Well, I ended up going with Apex, but I also really like Topstep. Let me go through each one and just explain what I love about each of these. So let's start with Apex. First of all, Apex has a very generous profit split. So at 90-10, it's just, one of the best profit splits that you can get that's out there. I think that's fantastic. I also love that I can trade 20 accounts, up to 20 accounts with Apex. If you really think about it, if you pass the $300,000 account trading 20 accounts, you can trade up to $6 million. That's fantastic. That's a lot of money to be trading with. So in terms of that upside potential, I just really love that aspect of it. I like that I can choose between a static and a dynamic account. There's one particular approach that I trade that is really good for a static account. And so, I see it work really well for that, not so much for the dynamic accounts. And yet there's another type of approach that I trade that's much better for the dynamic account, but it's not as good for the static account. So I love the fact that I can choose between those two different account types. I think the big initial payout is awesome. Apex is super aggressive and generous right now. They're trying to attract traders. So having that 100% up to the first 25K is pretty huge. And of course, I mentioned this, being able to cap the drawdown in the live environment is awesome. And that just really opens up a massive amount of upside for you. So you can take that $6 million across 20 accounts and you can grow that as much as you want. You are capped in terms of the number of contracts that you can trade, but it's a pretty big cap. It's a pretty big amount. And so you can trade very large size on very large accounts and really grow this thing into a beast. And I love that about it. And the other thing, and I'm going to talk about this in just a second, they have incredible specials up to 80% off. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's take a look at Topstep. Why did I like Topstep? Well, just like Apex, Topstep has a generous profit split. They have that 90-10 profit split, which again is just really great for traders who are doing a lot of the work and they've done a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears into it. Getting that 90-10 is great. I love the custom live scaling option that they have, the ability the fact that they'll work with you as you grow your account, as you prove consistency. It feels much more like a prop firm. So like they're going to be working with individual traders on their trading plan. At least that's kind of my interpretation. I don't know if that's like actually how it works, but based on what I read, that seemed to be what was the case, and I kind of like that. They also seem to have a lot of trader support. They've got coaching. They've got a lot of resources. And then the capped end of day drawdown in both eval and live is just really great. You can tell that I'm a fan of capping out the drawdown. I just love that. I think it's the fairest way to do it. You're not going to lose any more than the initial count balance. I think that's really, really fantastic. And Topstep's been around. They're kind of the granddaddy of them all. They've got a proven track record. They paid out a ton of money. There's no concerns about them going belly up. There's a lot of great reviews. They're just awesome. They've been around. I think Topstep is another one to take a look at. So let's really talk about Apex though. One of the reasons I love them so much is because their specials are absolutely insane. And so they will have very, very often an 80% off of their plans, like repeated. So like you can get these plans for a fraction of the cost. So here's an example. So like the $150,000 plan, which is my favorite because it has the most optimal, drawdown to profit target ratio. You can go take a look at that. The $150,000 account is my favorite. Normally it's $297 a month. When they have their 80% special, it's $59 a month. You're paying $60, less than $60 a month to have access to $150,000 in capital, or that program, $150,000 in capital. It is the best value of anything out there. Nobody else offers these specials the way Apex does. Like I said, Apex is super aggressive right now. They're trying to attract really great traders. So for almost like no money at all, you can get access to these programs. You'll get access to NinjaTrader. You get a NinjaTrader license. You get a data feed. Your data fees paid for, Rhythmic data feed. I mean, it's just really fantastic. There's no reason not to, not to look and take advantage of one of these specials. You're really not risking hardly any money at all with a really big upside. So Apex is my number one. I love Apex. I think they're fantastic so far. I've had really good experience with them. Topstep, my number two. All the rest, I'd have to compare them to these criteria, but so far what I've seen, I don't feel like I have to, and those are the ones that I'm sticking with. So hope this was super helpful for you guys. Really happy that I was able to do this and kind of really go into depth and talk about these programs. Like I said, this can be really great for those of you who are struggling with mindset challenges, to give yourself a challenge that goes beyond sim, but not with the mindset risk and also the actual profit risk of trading live when you're not quite ready to do so. So take a look at these programs. You can find below, you can find a link to a few things, a few resources. So one, you can find links out to the Apex and the Topstep Trader programs. It is an affiliate link. I'd love any love coming my way. Could certainly use it to support the channel. But feel free to also just go sign up on your own, direct, no problem. The other thing is an email sign up, because you may not know when these specials happen. So when the Apex specials come on, if you sign up for email, I will let you know. I will let you know, hey, they're doing an 80% off sale, or they're doing 50% off resets. So when those opportunities come up, get on my mail list and I will let you know when they happen. So, all right, traders, this is awesome. We're moving forward. Until next time, happy trading.